and welcome to GeoSnippits. I'm Headhardhat. We're here at a very special GeoSnippits, and we are going to interview the one and only Cache-A-Maniacs. Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing very well.
Doing good.
Nice to see you. Today we're going to talk about podcasts, and we're going to start right off with Daryl and Drea. And could you describe to me, Daryl, what a podcast is?
Well, a podcast is really simply any kind of media bundled up with an RSS feed so that it's automatically delivered. It sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo, but basically you take something like iTunes, subscribe to the podcast, and anytime there's a new show available, it's downloaded automatically right to iTunes or Windows Media Player, whatever your podcatcher of choice is.
That's great. Now, what exactly is Cache-A-Maniacs about? What is your podcast theme?
Well, our Cache-A-Maniacs is mostly just interviewing other cachers around the world, just a way to get to know your neighbor.
That's great. What kind of an audience are you starting to get with Cache-A-Maniacs? How long have you been doing it?
Well, we're in our third year now of Cache-A-Maniacs, and our audience does tend to vary quite a bit. Right now we're looking at roughly about 800 downloads, which doesn't give us a very accurate total of what our real audience is, because that will change depending on the ISPs and various things. But in the winter, we actually do jump up to well over 1,000 on a single show.
The people that listen to your podcast, where are they from? Are they just North America, or whereabouts do you normally get your demographics from?
Well, we actually have quite a wide range of demographics for the show. Most of them are from North America, US and Canada, but actually our third largest section is Australia, where we have quite a good listenership that we can track. We have a lot of people that we just don't know where they're coming from.
Right.
But, you know, US and Australia really kind of top the list, but we're getting emails from all over the world. All of our interviews, we try to get as many of all of our interviews, we try to get it from all over the world as well. And yesterday we actually interviewed a transplant from New Zealand, which was our first New Zealand.
Oh, that's
but
great.
Unfortunately, it came from North Carolina, so we don't get to check New Zealand off the map just yet.
That's great. Now, when you do a podcast, what are the type of things that you like to talk about?
Well, on the Cache-A-Maniacs, it's really focused on the cacher and trying to get to know them. So we ask a standard set of questions, and that does change a little from show to show. But overall, we're trying to get exactly the same information from each different one. And basically, we think of Cache-A-Maniacs like an inside the actor studio, where you're really just trying to get to know that cacher. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Now, Drea, we've listened to you on the podcast too. What's your role with Cache-A-Maniacs?
Well, my official title is production assistant, but basically what my biggest role is, I'm the one who schedules all the interviews.
Okay.
So.
That's great. Now, I listened to you, your comments as you go through the show. You guys react to each other so well. How long have you been doing this?
We've actually been doing this for almost 3 years now. That's
great. How did you get together? I mean, this is, to me, I just started listening to podcasts over the past year or so. How did you get together to even do Cache-A-Maniacs?
Well, it actually kind of goes back even before we started geocaching, and I had a show called Michigan Cycling Podcast. I think I was number 1163 in the Podcast Alley directory. Only about 600 active podcasts at the time, so it gives you an idea just how narrow the field was. And I really enjoyed doing that show for about 2 years. But we got into geocaching, and I stopped actually cycling.
Right.
Because I was spending all my time on the podcast and geocaching when I wasn't podcasting. So it didn't make sense to continue that show anymore. So what about doing a show for geocachers? Well, our favorite thing at the time really had been going to the events, meeting other geocachers, and getting to know them. So what better show than something that got to know people from all over the world via a podcast?
That's great. One of the things that I've noticed with podcasts and just with geocachers in general is that it's so much more than just going out and doing treasure hunting. It is a huge social network. Mm-hmm. And I think the beauty of Cache-A-Maniacs and podcasts in general is it allows to communicate to so many different people. and to get the voice out for it. Now, you guys are both geocachers. Tell us a little bit about the geocaching, how you got into it, and where you are now.
Well, I actually was the first one to get into geocaching, and it was actually around that first podcast too, because I was looking for, at the time, a way to do kind of like a tour guide for some of the trails and show you some of the interesting tidbits. In the research, I found out about geocaching, trying to figure out GPS locations and how to tag stuff. Well, nothing came of that first trail guide thing that I wanted to do, but geocaching, when I tried it to get some more experience for that trail guide, really kind of got my attention. And I told Dree about it, and what was your reaction?
That sounds stupid.
That sometimes gets to be a familiar thing for some reason,
Yes.
and yet we still go out and do it.
Yep.
Well, and her first time was actually on Mackinac during a little trip, and she still wasn't too into it. We did a virtual cache that she just really didn't enjoy
It's
too
okay.
much. But we got to the first physical cache, which is kind of up a flight of stairs, and well, she kind of took over real quick.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my competitive nature kind of kicked in, so I had to find it before he did. Once we found it, he looks at me and he asks, "You want to do another one?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go."
That's
I was
great.
instantly hooked.
Yeah, from that moment on, she was hooked. She just wanted to go find more caches until we finally got worn out.
That's great.
So her first day, I think we found about 6 caches, which was our high for a good couple of months.
That's great. Now, I know on your show you have a whole plethora of questions that you like to ask geocachers. So now we get to put you on the spot stuff. What's your favorite type of geocaching that you like to do?
I like the ones that take you to a place that I've never been before. I know it's a cliche and that's what most people say, but it's true. I really like being in different places that I never knew existed.
And my favorite cache really is still the caches that have some history. And I'm not talking about older caches necessarily, but the ones that will take you to interesting places that have some history and have some really cool sites, like the historical parks and mines. Ghost towns are the best, even though we haven't had a chance to do any of those yet.
That's great. What's your favorite type of container as far as, are you into micros? Are you into ammo cans? What do you like to do?
Well, my favorite is the one that fits best for the location. If you're in an urban situation, then micros tend to work very well. In the forest, I don't want to see any micros, thank you very much.
Anything that's a creative hide.
Yeah. What is your more favorite type of creative hides? Have you seen any while you're doing? How many geocaches do you have?